Has your boss ever crossed your limit to the point that you just wanted to pop them square in the face? If so, then we've got a recap for you. Hey guys, welcome back to Flicks Recap. My name is Luke Pelletier, and today we're covering Horrible Bosses, the 2011 comedy crime. I even remember seeing this in theaters and I thought it was hilarious. So, before we get it going, be sure to like the video, drop a comment, and subscribe to Flicks Recap if you dig the breakdown. And, as a disclaimer, this video includes my own personal commentary and analysis. It's not a substitute for the film itself. Links to purchase the film are in the description below. Let's get into it. The first character we meet is Nick, who's been working for 8 years for a promotion at his office, but his boss is pretty withholding. We then move over to Dale, a dentist's assistant, because that's the most lucrative job he could get, and still get to marry his fiancée. He tries to escape his boss Julia, but her naughty advances keep getting worse as Dale tries his best to stay loyal to his fiancée. Jumping onto Kurt, the accountant, he has a great boss, but the boss's son, Bobby, is a nightmare. Later after work, all three boys meet at a bar, and we find out Kurt's boss died of a heart attack, and now his son might take his dad's position. This is bad news for Kurt. Remember Bobby, the nightmare? The next morning, Nick is expecting to get promoted as the senior VP of sales, but it turns out his boss, the CEO of the company, takes the position for himself to take on more responsibility. When Nick tries to plead his case with his boss, he claims he owns Nick. And without a good letter of recommendation, Nick can never find a decent job anywhere else. And poor Nick, still stuck at his position, is back in the gutter. Meanwhile, Kurt's job is turned into a nightmare because Bobby, the previously mentioned nightmare, is being unreasonable. He parties all day and night and plans on leaving to live the good life, milking as much money as he can from the firm. As for Dale, the other boys wish they could have his problems instead, since his boss Julia is getting crazier since she found out that he's engaged. So now she's desperate to have a little FaceTime with Dale before he gets married. At work, she locks them in together and reveals herself only wearing lingerie under her coat. Hot? Sure. Professional? Absolutely not. The next day, Julia invites Dale's fiancée, Stacy, for a free checkup. Oh my god, the red flags. Dale is surprised to see Stacy and gets taken aback when Julia blackmails him to make love with her on top of Stacy's unconscious body, after giving Stacy anesthesia. When Dale says no, she pulls out questionable pictures of two of them. Turns out poor Dale had no idea Julia had kept pictures of him from the time he came for a checkup and he was unconscious, and then she took pictures of them looking like they were doing the deed. Dale stands speechless, but really shouldn't be that surprised, and Julia leaves, telling him to be ready for their session soon or else she'll expose him to Stacy. At night, the boys meet up and plan to hire a hitman to kill their bosses for them, as they've had enough. After a few days, Dale calls all the boys to meet up at a motel where he's called a hitman famous for doing wet work online. Little do they know, wet work actually means peeing on other men for money. Annoyed at Dale, Kurt takes the boys to a suspicious-looking bar in search of a hitman. On their way out of the joint, a man follows them and asks for $5,000 up front to end 3 people. It's not like I know anything about hit markets, but $5,000 up front for 3 people? I feel like you're gonna do a messy job. The boys work the entire week to gather money and finally meet the hitman at a diner. He's clever enough to take their money and in return just gives obvious advice on how to do it themselves, saying he doesn't want to do it, and that they're only paying him to teach them. And the boys, kind of feeling like they got scammed but not really, walk out of there thinking that they know how they should go about this. The next night, Nick takes a sick leave by forcing himself to vomit at work, and he joins the boys to carry out the plan. First, they break into Bobby's house. Being that they're all amateurs, they have no gloves, so they roll down their sleeves to avoid fingerprints. Dale accidentally drops Bobby's box of full white dust, and with the help of Nick, tries to clean it up. But they both get high, obviously. And Kurt, the evil genius that he is, heads to Kurt's bathroom and rubs Bobby's toothbrush and toiletries on his member. They all rush out of the place as Nick and Dale are feeling the effects of the powder, and the only good thing that they get from their little mission is the phone that Kurt shows the boys he got from Bobby's room. Next, they go to Nick's boss's house, leaving Dale out in the car as their lookout, telling him to honk twice if the boss is coming. Alright, if you've made it this far, you're kicking back and enjoying the video. Now would be a great time to subscribe to Flicks Recap. Subscribing is absolutely free, and it helps me bring you even more dope content. Okay, plug over. Back to the recap. Dale's so high he totally forgets about honking the horn, and then Nick's boss actually comes through in a car and tells Dale not to loiter around on his street. The boss takes Dale's sandwich and eats it, knowing it has peanuts, which gives him an allergic reaction, and he passes out on the street. Dale panics and gets out of the car, trying to help. He takes out an injection from the boss's sock and just jabs it all over the boss's chest. Kurt and Nick luckily see this from the window, and it looks as if Dale is killing the boss, so they run away, accidentally dropping Bobby's stolen phone in the living room. Meanwhile, the boss's hot wife comes home too, and thanks Dale for saving her husband. The next day, the boys go grocery shopping. They buy peanuts to add into Nick's boss's shampoo and rat poison to add to Bobby's Coke. They split up. Dale leaves to find some information on Julia, Nick leaves to take care of Bobby, and Dale does the same for Nick's boss. As night falls, they're all onto the mission. Dale's on Nick's boss's case, Nick will get rid of Bobby, and Kurt is on Julia. Dale waits outside Nick's boss's house for him to leave. Inside, the boss finds his cat playing with Bobby's phone and leaves to find Bobby. As Nick's boss leaves the house, Dale rushes inside to add peanuts into his shampoo, but stops midway, calling Nick to tell him he can't get himself to end someone's life. On the other side, Nick, waiting outside Bobby's place, gets alarmed seeing his boss come to Bobby's house, rings the bell, and shoots Bobby with a gun. Nick panics and asks the boys to meet at the bar ASAP. They meet up and plan to give the police an anonymous tip on Nick's boss ending Bobby so that he goes to jail. Kurt shamelessly exposes his lovemaking with Julia instead of killing her, but he says he'll satisfy her enough to make sure she doesn't keep on harassing Dale. On their way out of the bar, the police officer stops their car and questions why this car fled from Bobby's crime scene. They lie and then end up being taken to the police station, and even at the police station they make excuses and act surprised that they're being accused of being suspicious because they know Bobby was Kurt's boss. Dale's a registered sex offender, and Nick's car was at the crime scene. Due to a lack of evidence, the police leave the boys, but are reminded by the officer that Bobby's house is being searched for any DNA. This makes Kurt recall how he shoved Bobby's toothbrush all up on his junk, and even used Bobby's razor, loading it with DNA. This makes them panic, and they rush to the hitman they paid at the bar earlier for some advice. Back at the bar, they find out their hitman isn't a hitman. Surprise, surprise. He hasn't even done it. And his biggest crime is video piracy. Annoyed at him, the boys leave, but realize that if they get Nick's boss to confess on tape that he murdered Bobby, they can avoid being wrongly accused and get the real criminal in jail. They reach Nick's boss's house unaware that there are guests inside waiting to surprise the boss for his birthday. His wife, Rhonda, recognizes Dale as her husband's savior and invites them all in to join. Kurt is attracted to Rhonda and immediately starts flirting with her, and he gets so excited that he forgets to follow the boys into Nick's boss's room and instead takes Rhonda to the bathroom for a ride. Nick and Dale are unaware of Kurt abandoning them and get Nick's boss to confess everything without a recording because Kurt had hidden the recorder. In the end, the boss threatens to kill all three of them, especially Kurt, when he sees the two come out of the bathroom, which is when the boys make a run for it. Nick's boss starts chasing them around town, and at the same time, Julia calls Dale telling him that she's had enough and needs Dale for max pleasure, or she'll send their pictures to his fiancée. At the same time, Nick's boss has gone crazy and hits their car a few times, which turns the car's Alexa-type robot, Gregory, on. Gregory shuts the engine down, sensing that they've had an accident, and automatically calls the police. Meanwhile, Nick's boss finally gets a hold of them and makes them get out of the car at gunpoint. Instead of shooting them, he shoots his own leg and hands Dale the gun, saying he's gonna blame Bobby's murder on them, and even blame them for shooting his leg. He falls on his knees, leg dripping with blood as the police arrive, and then handcuff the boys. They let out a sigh of relief, though, when they find out that the recorder in Kurt's pocket might still have evidence, but unfortunately it stopped recording when they crashed. Who knew that Gregory would be the one to save the boys? Gregory was recording all of their conversations, including Nick's boss confessing his crimes, and justice is served. In the future, Nick gets a much better job where he's his own boss. Or this is what he assumed, because when he meets his new boss, this one's way worse than the previous one. Kurt enjoys his workplace free of Bobby, and Dale plays Julia's own game on her by filming her trying to harass a patient and asking Dale for a quickie, which results in Julia staying away from him. Oh, what I would give to have just one of these three bosses in my life. Yeah, they'd probably be pretty annoying, but you'd be in for some pretty interesting stories. What do you think? Have you ever had a wild boss like this? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next recap. Until next time.